So moving into the next wave, we had a bunch of moves happen, bro. I'm just gonna go ahead and read off this list that I have here. Ricardo Allen signed today as we're recording this. This is Wednesday. They signed Ricardo Allen to a 1-year deal. He's a safety. Eli Apple signed a 1-year deal the day before. Corner Quentin Spain came back as well for that intentionally left guard position. Kevin Huber, we have our punter back. Ryan Finley was traded to Houston from Cincinnati with the 7th round pick that we gave up for their 6th round pick, which actually belongs to Miami, and also the number 202 pick. So they get to move up a full round with that just by moving on from Ryan Finley, aka Vanilla Vic. Riley Reef, one of the biggest signers of the week, 1 year, $7.5 million, $5.5 million, I believe, guaranteed. Bobby Hart was cut, so that's $5.8 million off the books. Mike Thomas was re-signed. Larry Ogunjobi, the defensive tackle from Cleveland, signed for 1 year, $6.4 million. And then we also had Ryan Kerrigan, who's actually visiting as we were recording this pod as well today.
And Eason.
And Eason as well. Eason was also a visit, the center. So the Bengals really attacking this line. Zim, just what are your thoughts on what they've done with all of these transactions? They said they weren't done after that first day. They clearly are not done.
Where do I begin? Like, you know, the craziest thing about this to me is, like, as you're rattling that off just now, I'm thinking, like, in any other year, we would have spent the whole episode on maybe one of those moves. Just Bobby Hart being cut is a whole episode, right?
Right.
Or Riley Reef signing. That's a whole episode. We're making so many moves that it's just like, it's almost like as a content creator or whatever you want to call us, you know, it's hard to keep up with it. One thing I will say is that a lot of these pieces to me signal one thing, is that they learn from what I was saying, you know, like last off season when I kept on saying, bro, we have to just stack it up and just have a lot of depth. You cannot count on a guy to just be available in his league with the injuries that come at the level that they do. You better have all hands on deck, and you better have a bunch of people up, because when the people that say next man up, what happens when your next man up isn't Ricardo Allen? You know, like that is now, you know, slotted to be your backup safety who's been starting for the last 6-7 years for the Falcons, you know? So, like, when you're talking about depth in that regard, or some of these signings like that, it is amazing to see, because I can see that working, because some of those games that we lost that are super, super close, I look at some of those, like the Browns will have all the bragging rights in the world, and I'll be the last person to bring up injuries. But everybody knows that secondary, when we played them on that second time that we played them, was absolute, like, in shambles. I didn't even, like, when they were shooting up that day, they had guys coming off the practice squad I had never even heard of. And I follow the Bengals every day of my life. So to now have so much depth, where we're now talking about Darius Phillips is probably like your 4th, 5th corner. So now, I've been saying this for the last couple of years, I believe that Darius Phillips is the best punt returner in the National Football League. And if you're going to have all of these guys, like Eli Apple is now your backup corner, now you're freeing up the ability where the team couldn't take the risk of having Darius Phillips go down with an injury with they would come into the weeks with like 3 guys. So, you know, you couldn't have them returning kicks, you know, but now you open up that ability. You know that if it all falls down, you know, you can count on Darius Phillips to go up against anybody. So I just love some of the depth moves. The Riley Reef pick, I'm sorry, not pick, but the Riley Reef signing to me is a big one, because I feel as though he's still he's past his prime, but he's still good enough, and he's still a big upgrade from Bob Hart, and he's still at this level where I think Mr. Offensive Line guy, Mr. Trenches guy is satisfied with him. And to me, it's no longer looked at as a detriment to the team to suit a guy up at that position, no matter what you do. It doesn't change what I go into the draft. These are all the things that I've been preaching all along. You go into the draft and you go in BPA if you do everything that you have to do in free agency. We're going to get into maybe at the end of the show on guys that maybe they should still pick up so that you can have the full board on deck. Riley Reef doesn't change the fact that if Panay Sewell is right there in your face and you know, some of the guys that I like maybe are gone, or however the Bengals have them ranked. I'm not here to scout. I'm here to tell you who I like and in a plan. If Riley Reef is your starting right tackle and Jonah Williams is your starting left tackle, you are not forced to pick anybody or reach on anything. I have the luxury of trading down and seeing if Slater falls there. If I don't, then, you know, maybe I go and get ABT, you know, like later in a round in the trade back scenario. There's so many different things you can do now just by that one guy. Quentin Spain now shores it up too, where, okay, maybe the guys that I want, like a Trey Turner or a Walford, who I want to start at right guard, we don't get them. You go into the draft and you have a plan, maybe you don't get him, or maybe you do go get the guy that I feel could start day one. Doesn't matter. You know that, say he doesn't hit the ground running. I know I got Quentin Spain that's more than legit, more than sufficient enough to play the position, and he can step right in. So anybody that says that these signings aren't overwhelming, or they're not, you know, like looking at them like they're tier 1 guys, that's cool. I'm with you. I agree. These are not elite, you know, linemen or elite corners and stuff, but what it does is bolster up a room so that you're not scrambling when you get to games that are there to be had.